Hi, and welcome to the Midnight Reader. My name is Rosica, and today we are going to review Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Weir? I should have looked it up. I still don't care. So I just finished Project Hail Mary, and I need to talk about it because I didn't think I could like anything that he wrote as much as The Martian, but I was wrong. In the first half of the video, I'm going to talk about Hail Mary relatively spoiler-free, and I will give you a countdown interlude when I start talking about the spoilery parts. So if you don't want it spoiled, you can watch till I start telling you spoilers ahead. This first part is spoiler-free. So Project Hail Mary is a novel written by science fiction writer Andy Weir, who's probably most well known for his other sci-fi novels, most famously The Martian and Artemis. So borrowing a little from the Goodreads description, Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission. If he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish. Except that right now he doesn't know that. When the book opens, he can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how he's supposed to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very long time, and he wakes up in another solar system, aboard a spacecraft that he doesn't really remember how to operate. His crewmates are long since dead, his memories start fuzzily returning. He's alone on this tiny ship that's been cobbled together by every government and space agency on the planet and hurled into the depths of space. Hence the title, Project Hail Mary, which is as much a joke on the fact that it's a wing and a prayer as it is the American football play. And he starts to realize that it's completely up to him to find a solution to an extinction level event for our species and the planet of Earth. No pressure. So I absolutely adored this book. The Martian is one of my favorite science fiction novels of all time. I didn't like Artemis as much for reasons that I can't fully articulate. But when the story opens on Project Hail Mary, you're initially sort of led to believe this is in the same vein as The Martian. Maybe it's a little bit of an inverse twist on it. And then very early in the book, you're just sort of hit in the face with the fact that this is not The Martian. This is a very different novel. And I can't really talk about it more than that because spoilers. It ain't fucking The Martian. What I'm going to talk about in the non-spoilery way is why Andy Weir works as a science fiction author, and why when he really works, he writes something that's spellbinding and fantastic. So I think the reason Andy Weir is so popular is because even though he's a science fiction writer, the science in his books is real science for the most part. It's based in our world of physics and chemistry and microbiology. It's not Star Trek. It's not hand-wavy artificial gravity and hand-wavy warp drives. If he includes something that's above the level of our current technology, he takes great pains to explore why it works within our known system of physical laws. Because you don't actually need hand-wavy science fiction to build tension in a story. He's using real science in a story to create stakes, and the weight of those stakes is immediately accessible because it exists in a world that we understand. So if you love science, there's a lot here for you to enjoy. And if you're not a microbiologist or an astrophysicist, the technical jargon that he uses still doesn't actually get in the way of the story, like you might think it would. Andy Weir is exceptionally good at weaving technical jargon with plain-spokenness and humor in a way that lightens something that could otherwise be incredibly technically dense. It never feels like you're sitting in a college class hearing a lecture that's way above your mental capacity. It feels like you're attending a lecture with the coolest science teacher of all time. And his other strength is really grounding the fantastic world of science fiction in deeply human stories. The main plots that the story focuses around are isolation and curiosity and friendship. And in doing so, it doesn't feel as much like a science fiction book as it does feel like an immediately accessible human story. I read this on e-reader I have a suspicion that the audiobook for this is hilarious. Andy Weir just has an exceptional talent for adding voice to storytelling. The characters pop out of the page and you really understand who they are based on how they talk. If you have read the audiobook, please confirm if this is true, but I suspect the audiobook is excellent. And it's deeply, deeply funny. For example, when he wants to communicate that our main character is under stress and is trying to overcome his extreme anxiety by the situation he's currently in, he'll write lines like this. I clench my teeth. I clench my fists. I clench my butt. I clench every part of me that I know how to clench. It gives me a feeling of control. I'm doing something by aggressively doing nothing. That's very funny. And also, it's extremely relatable. Who doesn't understand this position? Clench everything when they're completely freaking out. His voice really lightens the story and brings you into very human moments. Other things I loved after finishing Project Hail Mary, I understand the cover art now. It is not just random pretty space times. It is explaining the plot to you. And I'm not gonna go into it, but it is actually just the plot. Other things I loved, when I was filling out my Storygraph review for this book, I got asked the question, would you describe the characters in the book as diverse? And I'm gonna go with yeah. I'm gonna go with yes, they're exceptionally diverse, but not how you would anticipate. And now, friends, we are going to go into spoilers. So if you do not want the spoilers for this book, please skip forward to the next timestamp where it says no spoiler summary. Guys, if you're still here, I'm going to talk about major spoilers. Okay? All right. I'm assuming you're into it. So, aliens. This is not what I expected the book to be about. I think it's pretty funny that he had a book entitled The Martian and there were no Martians. But in a book entitled Hail Mary, there were definitely aliens. First off, I did not expect to care as much as I did about an alien who looks like a mix of rocks and spiders, because I don't like spiders. So the fact that he got me to care about Rocky was a big deal. I loved the relationship between the main character Grace and Rocky, because I actually think that's the heart of what this book is about, is their evolution of their relationship. I loved their slow development from wary curiosity to sort of mutually beneficial co-workers to bromance and then thoroughly sarcastic married couple. Like, some of the saddest moments in the books are when they're opening up to each other about the things they've lost. So on page 214, when Rocky asks to watch him sleep, and you realize that he's not just asking for it from a cultural viewpoint, he's asking for it because he's been alone for so long, and all 23 of his crewmates are dead and gone, and he hasn't had any sort of feeling of protection since they died, and he's giving that to Grace, and it caused me to have strong emotional reactions for a small spider-like rock creature alien. So Rocky is the heart of the book, and Grace's relationship with him. All the ups and downs of them trying to solve the problems of saving Earth and then saving Arid are kind of not actually the focus of the book. It's the main plot point that's moving everything forward, but the heart of the book is their relationship. And I think that's true because the moment of catharsis in the book, when you finally cheer as a reader, it's not when they discover how to save Earth and save Arid, and for how Grace to survive the trip home. It's not that moment. In fact, you mostly just feel a little bit sad. You feel sad that he and Rocky are parting and that they're never going to see each other again because of lifespans. It's not that he sends off the Beatles with the information to go save all of humanity. The moment of catharsis for the reader is when he abandons his hope of survival and turns back for Rocky. And Grace is somewhat of a complicated character because he has the issues with his memory. He doesn't know for most of the book that he didn't choose to be on this mission, that he didn't choose to save Earth, that he was forced to save Earth against his wishes. He, like a lot of people, didn't want to choose dying alone in space. He wanted to choose dying on Earth like everyone else. And when he realizes that, it's a huge moment of shame for him because he feels exceptionally cowardly. He feels like he wasn't the person he thought or hoped he would be. So the ending works really well because he chooses to save Rocky and chooses to save Arid. So the fact that he winds up there at the end of the book with the planet that he actually chose to save is enormously rewarding. And the fact that he's still a science teacher for aliens is also pretty cute. All right, back to the non-spoilery parts. So I really, really loved this book. I'm pretty sure I immediately tried to think of some sort of Hail Mary pun or joke for the review, and the best I came up with was Hail Mary, full of wow, pray for us readers, now and at the hour of the last page. Amen. If you like books that are grounded in scientific or medical reality, the science aspects of this science fiction book were really wonderful, and gotta say, the medical aspects were pretty close, honestly. Like, the waking up with tubes in every orifice, very accurate, and the tube that he pulls out would be as painful as he described it being. I cannot recommend Project Hail Mary enough. You don't need to read The Martian first to enjoy this book. They are very different stories. However, if you do enjoy The Martian, I think you will really enjoy Hail Mary and vice versa. It's an excellent read. It was a solid 5 stars from me. I could not click that button fast enough. So that's my slightly disjointed review of Hail Mary. Hopefully I'll get slightly better at this in the future, but this is as put together as we could make it today. Highly recommend the book. If you're interested in science or science fiction reading at all. It's just a great read, very funny and well worth it. Anyways, thanks for watching my book review. I appreciate all of you who've liked and subscribed to this channel. I'm hoping to do more book reviews in the future. Since I'm reading a little bit less this year, it should be slightly easier to do. Also, thanks for all the comments that you guys put on my videos. I apologize for being a little bit slower in replying to them. I'm back at work full time and I answer comments a couple of times a week, but not every day at all. So I do read all of them and I do reply to all of them. I am sorry if it takes me a week to get back to you, but I appreciate all the comments on my videos for sure. Thanks for watching and see you next week.